Ladies and gentlemen, we are live with the Real Martian. I'm sure many of you have heard about the Real Martian, and the Real Martian himself is here.
We're here.
Raymond. And I believe Jeff and I are on a really bizarre, similar path. I heard about the Real Martian maybe up to 10 years ago when you started this path. And I remember before I was leaving to come out to Colorado, maybe 7 years ago, I also remember your YouTube channel or something. I don't know how, but I knew about the Real Martian, and I watched some of your stuff as you went along. And just to a brief synopsis for those listening, about the same time we came out here, Jeff and his wife decided to develop a self-sustainable type homestead that was completely a closed system in one area.
Right.
So they don't need any neighbors. It's all inside a hab. So they have giant greenhouses, biodigesters to provide natural gas for cooking or heat, and aquaponic systems. Just amazing the amount of stuff you got to do there. And we're going to discuss some of the successes and failures of that project. Welcome to the show, Jeff.
Thanks for having me, Diamond. I really appreciate being here. Thanks for taking the time, and it's a very nice introduction. So I'm happy to go through and answer any questions you have, or anybody else as well.
Cool. So first, we're going to show everyone your YouTube page here.
Oh, yeah.
Your YouTube channel is The Real Martian, the future of homesteading. And you've got tons of videos over there. How big is your video library?
Oh, boy, man, I haven't looked in a while. We're over 1,000 videos that are going up. And of course, now we're doing shorts too. Those are nice for folks, but quite a few, a lot. And there's a lot of playlists. We organized it, try to take all the things we learned and we put them into playlists. So people that wanted to see what to do and what not to do. We had a lot of successes. We had a lot of failures. So if you just wanted to kind of binge watch a playlist like the Hab playlist or the mobile Hab, which we call Life Pod. Of course, so we have our just like cooking with my wife, and she's done a few videos, but quite a bit of homesteading stuff, very similar to what you guys are experiencing there.
Cool. And when you were getting started and you guys went out there, you're in South Central Oregon.
Washington. We're actually just on the Washington side of the Columbia River.
Oh, okay. No need to disclose your location, but just a general geography. And you guys went out there about 2016, and you weren't even planning on having a YouTube channel or really sharing this information with anybody. Your purpose was to create a hab for, let's say, use on the surface of Mars. And you're going to use this as a business model. And if you could make the hab workable, then someone's definitely going to want to buy that, buy your product. Wasn't that your initial thing? And then your neighbor came over and said, "Hey, why don't we film this?"
You're like the Real Martian. It stuck. As soon as he said it, it stuck. He came in, he took the video. I'm going around. I'm in my Carhartts. Man, there's like plastic visqueen over the grow beds. There's so much stuff if you go back and look at it. And he's like, "Man, you're like the Real Martian," because The Martian had just come out, which I really enjoy watching that movie, not eating the poop potatoes, but it was really cool. But actually, the story begins a little bit before that. My dad and I, we always really kind of wanted to be off-grid mountain guys. He's a cowboy. We rode horses, went in the backcountry, went hunting, and did all those things. And so I always wanted to be off-grid. That was always the idea. And then I went to school, got to be an engineer, and I love technology. So I've always been in between, right? I've been in like, hey, I want to go be a cowboy out in the woods, riding horses, doing that stuff. But I got this technology stuff and I love it too. And it almost seemed like I had to do either one or the other, that never shall these two cross. And then I started doing some research on my own about self-sustaining systems and closed loop systems. And of course, I wanted to be an astronaut. That's part of why I went to school. And I started thinking about space. I thought about Mars, and I was like, if we designed a system that actually worked on another planet, it would do really well here. And it's all about the energy equation. It's all about closing that loop and figuring out how to conserve your energy and balance it. And unfortunately, the situation that kind of kicked me into gear and really made me take the risk and chances and make the investment is he passed away. So he got, about 6 months after I came home from the Air Force, diagnosed with terminal cancer, and 6 months later he was gone. And I was just a little bit before he was going to retire. So it really made me sit there and think, like, I'm getting older. I'm 43, 44. I forget my age, but that's not important. The important thing is he was getting older, and he was sharing with me, his life story. And one of his last lessons that he gave me was just seeing that he worked so hard. He worked so hard to get to that retirement, and then boom, right before, shit happens. And that's what happened. And so that took everything that he was kind of passing on to me, as well as all my technology stuff, and said, I need to do something. I need to take a risk. I need to try. So $250,000 later, my wife and I, over the course of years, that's not all at one time. It was over the course of years, we built the Hab 1. And my neighbor came over, bringing it back to that. And he's like, this is just so cool. And he's like, you're the real Martian. So that was the story of how we got started. And then, you want me to go on a little bit, or do you have any questions on that?
No,
so I can ramble.
Keep going.
Yeah. So we get the Hab going, and we're like, let's do microgreens and let's do rainbow trout. And we have the anaerobic digester. And it was all about having everything all like really contained, and lots of math, lots of trying to make sure you didn't spend more than what you got. I wish our government would figure out that simple equation right now. But besides that, so we sit there and we're figuring this all out. We got the anaerobic digester going. We put that into the ground, built it, started turning poop into power. That was cool. The first time we fired up the generator and it had power coming off of it, it was really cool. And then we started really going into we were raising rainbow trout. We had them in the ground. So we were using geothermal mass to help keep their temperatures right. Then we put on top of that the framework for the aquaponic grow beds. We built all that. We had to do tremendous amount of learning there, experimented with different type of media and ways to do things, and had to write the control system for everything so it could all be automated, because farming, it takes a lot of time, and we wanted to come up with solutions that don't take a lot of time, or take a lot less anyway.
Okay, so we built. Let me jump in and let's just talk about the biodigester. How long did How long did it take to get it up and running? Meaning, after enough biomass was in it, how long did that take? And then how long did it take to capture enough gas to turn on the generator? And then how much energy did you get?
Yeah. Good questions. Now, that's years ago, so I'm going to go from memory here. So the people who are the math guys who are like, well, he said that this, like, just hold tight, guys. I'm going to go from memory. It took us about 2 weeks to do the install, because it was in ground. And then once we got it installed, we preloaded it with cow manure, which is how you kind of jumpstart the whole process there. And then you get your methanogens in there. And unfortunately, when we really got it going, it was going. We got it built at the height of summer, and then we started going into fall and winter. So the temperatures started dropping. And then, so the methanogens, they like it. We were using I think it's a thermophilic layer. So it's like the lowest level of anaerobic digestion that you can get based on temperature. And they really want it like 70, 80 degrees. So when we first loaded it, we were headed into winter. So that all said, it actually started doing its thing not too many weeks after we loaded it. It started percolating. We started collecting gas. And I remember in the middle of winter, it was snowing outside. I actually plugged it in, and we got some initial methane that I did the pop test on, and just, let it fire off and see the blue flame. It was the next year, because it was going down and it was getting really cold here. That year we got to like -4. It was cold. So we didn't touch it again until the spring. When that came, we started loading it, putting horse manure, hay, and all those things. And we actually started the learning process. And then connecting the generator was a little bit after that. And we only ran it for a little bit of time, probably a few hours max, and then ran out of gas. The challenge that we faced, we actually had one of the universities come down and talk with us about it, because we have one of the only ones in the state here. And they're like, you're facing the same problem that everybody has with the digesters, is feeding them. And the problem that we faced is that the one we got was designed, it came from China. It was from Puxing, and they sell them all over the place, and they use them for mostly pig manure. And their design is meant for something that's not buoyant. It's meant to sink. So something heavier than water. And the pig manure and all that stuff, it's more slop, it's more water, so it's easy for it to get in. But when you start throwing horse manure in, cow manure is pretty okay, but horse manure, I never thought I'd have this kind of conversation about manure, but here I am. It floats, and it created a whole bunch of problems. So then we couldn't load it, which is what everybody faces. And so we made a horse toilet, and we grinding up horse manure and shooting in with a pump. And that actually worked really, really well. But problem was the energy equation is, you had to spend a lot of energy to get really no energy back. If you look at digesters, it's just a source of energy. And the cool thing about digesters, of course, is they're not just a source of energy, they're a source of nutrients, both liquid and solids. And so a digester is worth a lot more than just the power. But that's where we ended with the in-ground, because by the time we got everything else going, we were doing microgreen sales, learning all about that in the hab, doing aquaponics, maintaining all of that. I had to put some things aside because I'm just the army of one. My wife was helping out with microgreens. But then we faced the collapse of the hab. And so just when we were getting everything figured out, we had solar heated tubes installed on the digester. We were running hot water through it for radiant heating. And then we lost the hab. So that's the story of the hab.
Wow. Were you able to salvage the digester?
Digester's still there. Yep. It's in the ground. So it didn't suffer any damage during the storm that collapsed the hab. We had to pay a team to come in and take the hab apart because it was unsafe to be in. But it's still there, and we do intend to get back to it and actually start going. But kind of, good Lord has seen fit to take us in a different direction right now. Same mission, just actually one of the paths just kind of we were going to veer off on anyway. Components of the newly designed hab. I left my job full time. My full time job I left about 3 years ago now, coming up in May, and that first year, I redesigned the entire hab. I went through all the simulations. I built a computer. I call it the supercomputer. And, we're running all these simulations, making sure the thermal and the energy and everything works. And it did. And then we go to start building it. I remember, getting all dressed up. I have a packet this thick of all my drawings, and I'm going out to suppliers saying, I want this. And we were so small that they didn't care. It's really hard to get people to pay attention to you when you're a startup. So we say, we'll build one ourselves again. So we start getting into it, and we have to go talk to the county about getting permits and do all this stuff because we want to be legit. This isn't just like, we were trying to do this for real, take it to a business. So I had to talk to the government, and they're like, oh, this is way, way cool. And I'm like, cool, that's a great reaction. We love that. And they're like, it'll take us 6 months to go through it because we've never seen this before. And we're like, oh, we don't have 6 months, man. So we pivoted to the mobile version, which we were like, originally the prototype we did was in a Connex, and we didn't want to do a Connex because you need permits for Connexes and you have to move them and all this kind of stuff. And there's some challenges there. So now you don't have to have permits. You can get away with it. But because we're trying to be legit, you got to go by the book. So we went with a trailer because you don't need a permit for anything on wheels. And so we got the trailer. Started working on it. There's videos on the channel about how we're modifying it, getting it. We're cutting plasma, welding this. It was pretty cool.
This is like just a regular 40-foot tractor trailer.
Yeah, 53 foot. Yeah, but yep, exactly. And box trailer. And so we were cutting on it, hacking on it. Had the designs all done for that too, all SolidWorks stuff, ready to go. Buying parts, getting them shipped here, and then a global pandemic decided to happen. And so global pandemics tend to make your investors get a little bit like, well, maybe we're going to hold on to our money and see what happens. And that's exactly what happened. Our money dried up. So we had to pivot yet again. And the good thing is that within the LifePod, the hab, the LifePod, overall, we call that system the Genesis system. And it has components in it that were consumer level, like our grow tower or grow walls and our application that control everything, as well as the control system that controls everything. So we pivoted and said, well, we were going to build these big things because that's where all of our lessons and where we learned all this stuff from. But now it's like, we know we need this. We know what goes into this. So let's build this thing. So what was it? Yeah, like 4 years ago, we started on like building the grow towers, and then left my job 3 years ago and really started going on it. And about 2 years ago, we had the first grow tower. And also we have this little grow wall that mounts up on the wall. It's magnetic, mounts in. You can have as many of them as you want up there. And we wanted to make it where normal people can afford these things. And they actually did something. They weren't like some of I would say my competitors now. They have these really fancy things. They look cool and they sit on top of your counter, but they really don't do much.
$200 and you grow like a house plant. It's absolutely
ridiculous. A head of lettuce. And like, I like lettuce and salads, with lots of Thousand Island, but I'll
tell you what, Jeff, you can buy a pot and put soil in it and some lettuce seeds and grow a big head of lettuce on your counter without a $200 piece of crap.
I agree. So one of the things that we wanted to do is have a system. We don't have all the answers. We're still working on everything, but I think we're headed in the right direction. We want to have a system that can grow any type of plant, including root vegetables, because those are the big guys. Those are the ones that have a lot of nutrient density in them. And we weren't targeting, like our target isn't people like you or I that live out on a ranch and have, space to garden, because there's no way you can compete with a garden. I mean, if you have land, first of all, if you have land, grow your own food. If you've been watching Diamond, you've been watching Oppenheimer Ranch, Magnetic Reversible Nose, or TheRealMartian, or anybody else, we've all been telling you the same thing. Grow your own food. It doesn't matter how you do it, just do it. So if you've got land, like my wife and I are ripping up flower beds, we're putting in more garden space. And it's like, if there's irrigation, we're putting food there. So that's my thing for everybody. Just kind of backing up we love watching you because of what you help us learn as well. And we are thinking about people in the cities. We're thinking about people that don't have land. And we're like, what are they going to do? Well, they're going to be under the thumb of the man because they depend on logistics. And we don't like that. We want to give people freedom and independence and food security. And if you can have a system that you can grow food in the middle of New York on your 40th story building, even if it's a little bit, as long as it's a good variety, then you can trade with local people in your community, as in that building, and have food and kind of get back to the way food used to be, where we're growing stuff. Hey, you got extra carrots, I got extra potatoes. So, let's barter.
Now, what are these systems? Are they like grow walls that are self-irrigating or something? I mean, I didn't know about the products until right now.
Yeah. So let's see. I should be able to share my screen. Can I do that? Is that okay?
If you share it, I'll be able to put it up for you. Yep.
Okay. All right. Let's share screen. So I'm going to share this one right here. And there we go. All right. So this was the hab. This is what we built originally. And it actually modified a little bit just to show you. Over here is the LifePod one that we did, where this was mobile in a Connex. And then we have the hab over here, which is huge. And these are all the types of stuff that we've grown in that. But you asked specifically about the grow tower. So here's our grow tower.
Oh, nice.
This is the newest version of it. We actually have another new version coming. But what we have here, this is what we call the ET200R. It's the Eaton tower. It's a double decker. You can grow 64 plants in here at 6-inch spacing, and it has a 60-gallon reservoir. This is the only, we call it bimodal. It can do aquaponics or hydroponics just directly. And if you have a single 60-gallon reservoir, you can connect up to 33 of these towers. Buddy breathing. I love to scuba dive. I haven't been able to go forever, so I call it buddy breathing because it's just sharing the nutrients. But the fish, if you put fish in here, we've actually grown giant freshwater prawns successfully and unsuccessfully. There's a thing in aquaponics. If you haven't killed fish, you're really not you're not doing aquaponics yet. We've killed a lot of fish, but we've gone through.
What's the number one reason, Jeff, that the fish get killed? Is it a shift in pH, or is it the temperature, or is it a bad nutrient in the water?
Yeah, it's this guy right here. It's usually something that I forgot to do. Basic things like, hey, you haven't fed them in a while, human factors. I can tell you a funny story about the fish. The number one reason is that I've killed fish is through, just ignorance. Just didn't know what I was doing.
Hmm.
Which is part of what we have here. We actually have a computer that's on here. We're writing all the software for this guy. It's computer controlled. So all these things that we're learning, we're writing the software for so that other people don't have to go through that same experience putting sensors in and doing this type of stuff. But
so the grow tower itself is going to monitor to the pH, the nutrients, and warn you that something's off, and then you'll be able to fix it.
Yeah,
So
exactly. Exactly.
This is a prototype then, or do you actually sell a model that doesn't have the computer? I mean,
these are for sale up on our, we're doing, so, when you launch a product, you have the early adopter phase, where you're still kind of working on things and you want actual people to give you real feedback. So we're in the early adopter phase right now. So if you went to our website, you can sign up for our early adopter program and you can actually be part of the design process. And, you have to buy one and then you get it, you give us feedback, you talk to me directly. You're not talking to some dude in India or wherever else, on a customer support line. And we have the newest version. This is actually the version we call 2.3.1. We have version 2.4 is actually being designed. We design our own products right now with all the fixes that we learned from this one. We have one of these in operation already at our first customer. It's actually a church in our local area. They're using it to teach the young men's group there, the science, technology, engineering, and math. And then the young men, they want to take it to a retirement home. And actually in our local area, where lots of gardening, lots of farming in our community. And you got these folks that are kind of stuck, indoors. And so they want to bring them some happiness and joy and let them do some work, although this thing doesn't require a lot of work. So yeah, the computer controls everything.
Let's talk about the bottom line on that unit. What's the total wattage to grow in the winter with full light and pumps?
Well, it goes through cycles, of course.
Yeah.
But when you're maxed out, you're looking at about 5 amps with the current lights that we use. So not too bad, really.
5 amp continuous draw, 24 hours?
For 16 hours, if you're using the 16-hour, it's you only at the 5 amps when those lights are on. Okay. Everything else is almost like less than an amp by the time it's going. So yeah, when you're at 5 amps, you've got 2 lights. Those grow lights are a challenge. We've gotten a lot better with the grow lights. We're still buying them. We're going to design our own, but the technology with LEDs have come a long way. We've changed different suppliers and stuff, and but it's still the biggest. Like, energy is energy. It has to be done. We have put our systems onto wheels now. So these can actually be wheeled outside. They're meant to go in a garage right now. We want to get them to where they're good enough to go in a house, but my wife and I have one in our house, and we're like, she gave me you're not quite there yet look. So you need to work a little bit harder on this one. And this is actually a result of some of her feedback, and the next one has even more feedback in it. We're still working on aesthetics but maintenance, making it easier to take care of, all those types of things. But the lights, we can move it outside. You can get natural light. You can put it in a window. You can get natural light. You don't have to have the lights, but if you have natural light available. But if you're going to grow it in your garage all year round, like what we've done, we got some cool pictures. Stuff that we've done here in my garage. But like here, we're growing corn, which is not like we did it to see if we could. It's not that you should use one of these systems to grow corn. There's way better ways to grow corn. But tomatoes now, we did a lot with tomatoes. We did a lot with a whole lot of different things that we've grown. This pictures kind of suck. Let's see if there's a good one here. But yeah, we've done a lot of different things, and they grow. We've grown potatoes now. I need to find a different folder here for you. Get a newer tower. It might be too long. I might have to search too long to find those. I should have had those up ready for you.
I will do it next time. Sorry. Not a big deal.
Okay, but so
what website or where are these towers? The initial ones.
Yeah, these are on EatonGrowSystems.com. So that's the name of our company. So you land here. and you can come in and check it out. We actually have a few different variants. So I showed you the double decker
Yeah.
with a reservoir. We actually have a single decker with a reservoir. We have a triple decker that we're working on, our potato deck. We don't have that up yet because we actually have a guy who's working with us. He's our director of research. He's former NASA, and he's helping us go through and really refine the potato growing process. But we were successfully growing potatoes here last month. And now we're in the process of resetting all of our test towers. But we can, there was one other one. Oh, the tall tower too. The tall tower is for everybody who wants to grow tomatoes and marijuana. That tower has 72 inches of grow space, and the light deck moves. So as your plants mature, you can climb that light up. The new version, it's an automated light, so it'll actually climb up at, based on time. Yeah, so it's all that story. Here's one where we actually sent this down to Texas, and they were growing food down there. They did a really good job. But we've got them all up on here so people can go check it out.
Sweet. That sounds awesome. So what's our cut?
Yes, our cut. Finder's fee. We'll have to discuss that offline over a drink sometime.
Oh, we don't drink, but that's all right.
I'll
take
sharing.
a soda. Cool. So that's awesome. So that is your side gig. Now, when you first started out, you were doing microgreens and you were selling those?
Yeah, we did. We sold $15,000 worth of microgreens, actually. So very profitable crop. That was over the course of 2 years, and we were not doing that full time. That was
like farmers markets, or were you selling them to restaurants?
We actually went direct to. We had a grocery store and a few local restaurants that we were selling to, and they love them. I mean, $40 a pound for microgreens. It's easy to kind of get some money going on those things.
So
in the end,
why did you stop doing it, or you're still doing it?
Yeah, we stopped doing it. It was a tremendous amount of work. The microgreens themselves are easy to grow. Yeah. It's the food process, and by food, I mean the USDA definition of what food is and how you have to do your food safety protocols. Yeah. And those things really make it difficult on whoever's growing them. Now, my wife actually ran it. She did an amazing job. Our shelf life was like 2 weeks on microgreens, which is just unheard of. So, but that's a lot of time. It's a lot of time, and how you have to clean it. And once you start going down that road, you start entering legal areas, and you need certifications. And we actually had them come out, do the inspections, and go down that. We're like, this isn't worth all of this. It's just like,
no, that's why it is. If you're doing farmers markets, like my friend's making a killing with sprouts, microgreens and sprouts, and because there's no restrictions. And no one's coming to get you. So, and anyone that's growing good sprouts or microgreens is using the same exact technique. If you don't, it's not going to work. So you have to be sterilizing things with hydrogen peroxide. You got to be doing everything correctly, or the product isn't going to be, it's going to smell like mold or something.
Yeah, so, you'll have black dot all over the place. If you don't use hydrogen peroxide. Thing
I want to stress here is how important microgreens are for survival. In a survival situation, it is so easy to get up and running. And we have probably hundreds of pounds of sprouting seeds. I mean, it's not that expensive to stockpile it, and they last for very long periods of time. And it's a really good hedge for survival, in my opinion. So learn about microgreens.
Microgreens are good. My wife loves them. She's a foodie. The nutrients alone, as you're saying there, I mean, there's nutrient packed. They are delicious. It's pretty amazing. Like if you do like a carrot, like first time I had a carrot microgreen, it's like you eat it and you're like, wow, that tastes just like a carrot, and you go through all the other ones too. And some of them I like, some of them I don't like because I don't like the vegetables, but they are pretty amazing.
So the Real Martian eats meat only?
I am definitely a carnivore. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy, but always with my meat and potatoes, there's a broccoli or a cauliflower or a green bean, but corn is my favorite.
Yeah, and it's really hard to grow corn here, but we figured it out in 4 years, and now it's game on. Game on.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, we planted corn in our neighbor's house because part of our little journey is that year I left my job, COVID hit, and so I was finding work, I went from program manager at Boeing to like, okay, I'm digging holes and planting stuff for my neighbor. It was a very humbling experience. And we planted corn for him, and it did really, really well. We did, and we're at 2,400 feet where we're at. So we're kind of up there. So we have a very short, I think we're zone 5 or something like that. So we have a very short growing period, but it grew well and got some really nice stalks off. It tasted delicious. Like some of the best corn I ever had. It's so nice growing your own food. I mean, it's like, it does taste different. It tastes so much better. And the stuff out of the stores now is like those cantaloupes you get. We want to start growing our own cantaloupes, because those cantaloupes, it's like a rock that they softened up so you could chew on it. It has no flavor.
Yeah. Well, the problem with the food we're eating, even if it looks good or it appears ripe, is that it's nutrient deficient. Almost everything is growing in nutrient deficient soils. And if it's GMO, I mean, look out.
Yeah.
You have huge amounts of residue of poisons and toxins. But the food, no matter how good it looks, even the organic food that's on the market today is almost 60% or more nutrient deficient than just 3 decades ago, and 80% more nutrient deficient than 7 or 8 decades ago. So unless you're
speaking to a dude who, I'm picking up what you're putting down, man. We're totally on the same page.
Yeah. So that's why everyone needs to grow organically, nutrient dense foods that they are harvesting themselves and eating, because then you can guarantee there's no pesticides, high nutrient density. Basically, the food you eat is your medicine. So if you have the ability to eat nutrient dense foods, you don't get sick. And
exactly. You are what you eat. You are what you eat. You garbage in, garbage out. Like these old sayings, I'm coming to so appreciate the old sayings that have been handed down from grandpa. It's like they mean something.
I'm 50, and when in my 40s, I started realizing, holy crap, all that's just real. And so you've got years of revelations ahead of you. Everything grandma said is true. Damn.
It's true. Yeah, no, it is true. And my mom, if I don't shout out for my mom, you are who your friends are too. That's another one of those good ones. Surround yourself with people who are what you want to be like is a good lesson. But what you want to eat, how you want to eat, what you think about food, you're exactly right. That's a major part. My side of this story that we're talking about is I'm much more in the technology, the energy, the self-sufficiency side. But my wife is so passionate about food. And she's the one that whacks me on the head with, you got to stop eating McDonald's. You got to stop eating those things. And to her benefit, I hardly ever do those things anymore. And I mentioned alcohol earlier, and you said, probably I am getting to the point now where it's like alcohol is one of those things. It just doesn't make me feel good, and it's like it used to be take a drink, relax. But now it's like the as you get older, the cost of it, because it is what you're putting in your body doesn't like. And it's telling you that. And I'm like, sometimes I'm just so stubborn, but we are what we eat, and your food is so important. That's part of why what we're excited about with these towers and the grow walls. I don't have a picture of a grow wall to show you, but there is some prototypes on the Real Martian. Is we want it where there are no pesticides in the system. There are no herbicides in the system. And if you're using an anaerobic digester, which we're going to be taking one and actually integrating it. So instead of a fish tank or the bimodal reservoir, you're actually going to get an anaerobic digester, totally a garage only type of thing. But we want it where you can take your food scraps and like just shoot it right in, grinds it up. We've already learned the lessons. We just have to design it and build it. And then you're recycling. And if you're not using all the nutrients in one of our towers or grow walls, then you can take it out and you can put it, literally just open the valve and let it drool out onto your land. And it's just going to bring stuff back to life. It's part of the sustainable farming. A lot of stuff that a lot more about than I do, but just, bringing the land back to where it should be, putting those nutrients back into the land instead of just taking, we want to kind of start making it all work again. So we call it the Genesis effect, but that's because I'm a Star Trek-y guy, and I just, we want to make good things happen. So
cool. Anyway. And you guys can help Jeff make good things happen over at his Patreon page, where The Real Martian, just like we have a Patreon, has a Patreon himself. And I can't believe, well, you're probably not, my background is in fundraising. So I know what to say to get my subscribers on my YouTube channel to become a Patreon. So maybe we could talk off the air and I'll give you a few tips.
Oh, I love it. Yeah, I'm not good at that stuff. Finance is like my total weak spot.
Yeah. So if you like what Jeff's doing, go check out his YouTube channel. chip in $2, $3, whatever his monthly tiers are over at his Patreon. He's doing very important work. I love the idea of the habs and then the mini versions on the trailer and the pods. And I really hope you get back to the full product. But in the interim, you got to sell the parts, man. That's where the money's at now for you. And I believe that a lot of people in the times we're going into of turmoil and small businesses getting destroyed, there is so much opportunity. And all you have to do is be in the solution. And that's what you've done for years. So as long as you're sitting in the solution, you're going to have all these failures and there's going to be problems. But at some point, something's going to click and you're going to be like, hey, we don't have to build the whole hab. Let's just sell the grow tower. And then we could sell the computer program. So it's completely automated. And then it's hands off and you can still have a full-time job. And you come home and you have your entire hydroponic garden is what you're eating for dinner. So I love your solutions. And that's why I love that we're shouting out your Patreon. So all the links are going to be below the video. Inspiring parting words and maybe where you're headed in the future.
Let's see here. Inspiring words. I think in the days that we're in, my faith is very important. So I think, whatever you believe, turning to that right now and really coming to your truth is very important. I'm a Christian. I find that faith to be extremely empowering to me, and it gives me a lot of hope. But whatever your beliefs are, I think turn to them, stand on your solid ground, find the people around you that are like-minded and, are people that you look up to and you respect, because these times are hard. And the only way we make it through is together. The division that's out there is horrendous. It's horrible. It's despicable. It's disgusting. For me, it's straight from Satan. It's horrible. But together we can and have made it through some hard times before. So I would say that for the inspiring side. I hope that was inspiring. Stay together, work together. Yeah. And then for us, where we're headed, we're going to market right now. We went at the beginning of the year, we had 2 employees at Eaton. We're now up to almost 12, I think 11 employees. We're still on investors. We're looking for investors. If anyone's interested, that's the big type of investment at this point. And we're hoping to get these. Actually, I get on an airplane. I get on an airplane on Monday. I'm flying to North Dakota, and we're giving a tower to Grand Farms Initiative in North Dakota State University. And they're going to be growing medicinal herbs and everything in it because they believe our towers will allow them to grow things that are difficult to grow in North Dakota in the middle of winter, that are very, very helpful for you from a medicinal standpoint. So stay tuned for a lot of that stuff. But yeah, we're going to market. So any prayers or happy thoughts or joy, any of those types of things are really appreciated right now for us. But we think we can, we think what we've done will help provide sustainable food and energy independence to local communities around the world, and maybe one day off of it. But we believe the answer is in communities and independence. So I'll leave you with that.
Cool. Pleasure having you on the show. Very interesting conversation. Really stoked to hear about all the things you're doing with the grow towers. We'll have all the links to all the websites below. So people that want to get some or even invest in the stuff that Jeff's doing as the Real Martian, with what is the name of the company? Eaton?
Yeah. Eaton Grow Systems, like the garden, Eaton Grow Systems.com. Easy one to remember.
Yeah, so go check it out. Been a pleasure talking to you, and we'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. Thank you.